Hey everybody, it's Caitlin, your geeky girlfriend, back again with another video for my channel, and in today's video we're going to be doing a Bookie Babe book review, and today's video marks, I want to say book 15, but let's just double check the Goodreads. Yes, this book that I'm going to review today marks book 15, and if you are new here, I'm Caitlin, I am a bookie, and I recently, like within the last 5 to 6 years, have really gotten back into reading, and I was a big reader in like early elementary and middle school, and then kind of like, I didn't stop reading, but I would stop. I would really only read over the summer and things, until I started living by myself in Tennessee 4 years ago. Then, almost 5 years ago now, was when I actually, we're going on almost 7 years since I lived in Tennessee, you guys, because I moved there in July of 2017, so we're going on 7 years, and during that time I really rediscovered reading for pleasure, and kind of started to add to that TBR and all of that. So if you are new here, make sure you hit that red button to subscribe. You can give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And today we're going to talk about another nonfiction title, and it is Letters to a Young Gymnast by Nadia Comaneci. And I, again, don't have the book with me. It is in my stuff to sell on my eBay storefront, and so it is in a different location currently. But this was a book that was on my list for about a year. I asked for it for Christmas, and luckily got it as a gift this year. And as a former gymnast, for those of you who don't know, I was a gymnast for 15 years. It was a very big part of my life. It's my favorite sport to do. I love watching gymnastics. And I'm also still actively involved in the gymnastics community because on the weekends, during the school year, I judge girls gymnastics, and it is a great hobby of mine. It's a great way to like make some extra money, and it's a great way to be involved in the sport. So naturally, when I heard that Nadia wrote a book, I knew that it was one that I wanted to add to my list. This is a short read. It's only got about 100 and maybe it might break the 200. I think it's like a 240 pager. It's a smaller title. It is her memoir, an autobiography, formatted in the style of her responding to different letters that may or may not have existed. It's not really clear if the letters actually existed, but she starts every chapter saying like, "Dear friend, I appreciated your letter, blah, blah, blah." And then she kind of is just retelling the story of her life. And most people, especially if you're in the gymnastics community, might recognize Nadia's name for being the first female gymnast ever to score a perfect 10-0. Not only did she score one, she scored multiple in her first like Olympic outing. And at that time, that was just completely unheard of. And at the time, she was 14 years old, so she was very, very young. And so the whole journey, the whole book really talks about her gymnastics journey, and it all spans over the course of 7 or 8 years. So that is crazy to me that, this 14, 15-year-old girl went out and made history, and she didn't look at it as a job. She just was genuinely trying to be the best that she could be. And I think for young gymnasts, it is a really great story about tenacity, work ethic, perseverance, and kind of just this message of you can't be as good as I am and not put in the hours in the gym without training. And it just really has a powerful message for young gymnasts, but also reading her words about the hardships that she faced growing up in Romania. And at that time, Romania was a communist nation. And so hearing her defection and how she illegally left her country and crossed the border, and the people who helped her along the way, and these relationships that she made, and the people she left behind. And I think that every woman in this country should read this book, because it's just a very powerful tale about what it means to be brave and courageous. And I posted a quote of hers on my Instagram last week, because one of the quotes was, I think I'm going to have to look it up. It was something along the lines of, people asked me if I was courageous and I sometimes wonder if courage is just another word for desperation. And I thought that was a beautiful quote. I actually saved a couple other quotes to use later on as captions as well. And so I got a lot of like really powerful statements out of this, but also as a gymnast, it just really hit home for me. And one of the other things that was super cool about this book in particular is, as a gymnast, one of my favorite movies of all time is Stick It, and there were a lot of parallels between how Haley sees Bert and Stick It and the words that Nadia said about Bella Caroli, and I think Bert Vickerman and Stick It is probably very loosely based on the Bella that came to America. And Bella Caroli now in the gymnastics world doesn't have the best reputation, but Nadia had nothing but nice things to say. And she just was very classy about her relationship with him, and that he was, pivotal to her. He helped her. She understood why he did what he did. And I think it's just an interesting perspective to hear and have as a former and now an ex-gymnast. So just lots of great things in there for gymnastics people, but also a great story for women, a great story about bravery, and a great story about like what it truly means to be free in your own country and have ownership of yourself and your body, which is something that in our country is debated, and like people have it way worse in way other parts of the country, or way other parts of the world. And I think it's very important for us to always stay humble and always stay in our gratitude for the things, freedoms, and the privileges that we have here in America, because a lot of countries don't have that. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I got a very powerful message out of this book. I did give it a 4-star reading over on Goodreads. That would mean it would equate to about a 7.5 or an 8. I think if you're a gymnast, it's a great book to read. If you're not a gymnast, but still grew up in that time period, like you grew up in the 60s, when Nadia was alive, and well, she is still alive, but when she was in her prime of gymnastics, I think you would enjoy this book. But there is a lot of gymnastics knowledge and references in the book. So I do feel like you do have to have kind of that knowledge of gymnastics to a certain extent to be able to really get the full story out of this book. So I would give it but I gave it a 4 because it was it lulled me to, I don't want to say it lulled me to sleep, but it kind of did. There were a couple, it was not a book that I could read really late at night because I would just fall asleep, or if I got tired quickly reading this book. And that does affect my ratings. It was not something that I read super quickly through, despite its size. I definitely read, I'm Glad My Mom Died way faster than this one, but I enjoyed it. It was a lot more relevant to my life. It was a lot more dense in terms of content, I think. And that's not to take away from My Glad My Mom Died. It just is kind of saying that it took me longer to read. And for me, the speed at which I can get through a book and how eager I am to keep reading it does affect my score. And so for me, it got a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, and I would probably say it's a 7.5, maybe an 8 if you are a gymnast. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you all will let me know in the comments your thoughts and if you've read this one. And if not, then you can try and check it out or find it in the library or whatever. And as always, you can find my full review over on Goodreads. And stick around here. Stick it, no pun intended, since we're talking about a gymnastics book. But yeah, keep it here on the channel for more Bookie content. And as always, you can follow me over on Instagram and Goodreads for more. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.